Well, Jesse, they never thought we'd make it this far. You are listening to episode 2 of the Bench Riders podcast. My name is Caden, and I am joined as always by my co host Jesse. Today, we're going to talk about the controversial officiating from the Texans versus Chiefs game Saturday. We'll also discuss the rest of the NFL divisional round matchups from this past weekend, and then we will preview and predict the 2 upcoming conference championship games, and we'll also talk some baseball this time, as we'll discuss the Los Angeles Dodgers and their lucrative free agent spending and the implications the past 2 off seasons could have on the future of Major League Baseball. All right, Jesse, so your Texans, they fell short in Arrowhead Stadium, unfortunately, 23-14 to the Chiefs on Saturday. Going in, the Chiefs had won 6 straight divisional round playoff games. The game kind of already got off to a rough start as Chris Boyd had just a terrible unsportsmanlike after a forced fumble and a long kick return for the Chiefs, but of course, they're lucky, so they recovered it. At that point, the Texans' stout defense held the Chiefs to a field goal. Texans responded with a field goal of their own, and then C.J. Stroud gets hurt. He limps off the field at the end of the drive, and then this is where all the controversy from this one happened. Will Anderson, after the Chiefs went 3 and out on their next drive, Will Anderson got called for just a BS roughing the passer after sacking Mahomes on that 3rd and long. Chiefs get a first down. I don't know. What was your reaction when that happened?
Oh, start to the game, of course. First kick return, I was like, ah, shit, here we go. Forced fumble, I don't understand why Chris Boyd decided to take his helmet off and throw it and then push our special teams coach. That
Yeah.
made no sense to me. Um, I'm glad our defense was able to hold him to a field goal. That helped me going. I was feeling good after that. We responded, like you said, with a field goal of our own, tie the game up. I was a little worried about CJ after that tackle where they kind of fell on his legs, and it looked like he might have hurt his knee or his ankle or something, but he played the rest of the game. Uh, but yeah, that after that next drive, 3rd down and long, Mahomes misses a wide open throw, and of course that little yellow laundry ends up on the field, and I knew from there on this game was over. Will Anderson put his face into the guy's chest. The crown of the helmet just grazed his face mask, and that's all it took for the refs to throw a flag. And at that point, I knew this is going to be a long game.
Yeah. The referees claimed it was helmet to helmet contact, but he was hit in the shoulder. It was not helmet to helmet contact. Later on in the 3rd quarter, an arguably worse call was made. Mahomes scrambled out of the pocket, seemed like he was just standing there forever, acting like he was going out of bounds. Then he was going to act like he was going to slide. He didn't do any of that. At that point, according to the NFL's rules, Mahomes is a runner at that point, and therefore he's subject to any hit he's going to take. So he waits till the very last second when someone's about to tackle him to slide down. Texans player hits him. Of course, all the Chiefs fans in the stadium start crying, and there comes the laundry again. In the notes when I was watching this, I put in all caps, another bailout for Mahomes. Game is rigged. So, and it didn't end there. That was it for the ridiculous flags, but on the same drive, Mahomes went out of bounds. He was running. Of course, he does the thing where he acts like he's going to go out of bounds, but he doesn't to get extra yards because he knows that people can't hit him. So he gets pushed so lightly, like he was just barely grazed by one of the Texans' defenders. He flops, just ridiculously just flops out of bounds. And then he throws his hands up in the air and he's like, "Ref, where's the flag, ref? I just want to play the game, man." And it was just, I just can't stand him anymore. I just can't deal with it. What was your reaction to that drive and then that play as well?
Uh, like you said, with that second penalty on, I believe it was 2020 and Fatu Kasi. If you watch the replay, his head is below both of their chests, and their heads hit each other. They barely touch him, but that one really sent me off the edge. If you watch the replay of him running out of bounds and flopping, you can see when he gets pushed, his left foot is still in the green. There's about 6 inches of green before the white boundary while he's being pushed. Still throws his hands up. Luckily, this time there was no flags because I think if they threw one there, it'd be too obvious.
Oh my God, yeah.
And yeah, it just that game was over before it started.
He touched me, ref. He touched me in a football game. Just
Literally.
absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of making a mockery out of the sport, if you ask me. But, anyways, the drive ended after all that with a great touchdown pass to Travis Kelce, which I think makes it all a little more frustrating because Mahomes is just so damn good. It does extend the lead to 20-12. CJ Stroud on the next drive would go down and get sacked, like he did a lot this game. We'll talk about that a little later. The Texans at that point just same stories all year. They just couldn't get anything going on offense. Stroud was sacked 8 times in this game, and at the end, he had to be helped off the field. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on the Texans' offensive line and then CJ Stroud's injury?
The Texans' offensive line has needed help for a long time, and it's just something that I don't know why they're taking their time on adding depth. Laramie Tunsil, he's been good in protection, but his flags have been hurting us hard this year. I know a couple of our starters have been hurt, but just that shouldn't lead to 8 sacks a game. It seems like that's what they averaged. I know it's not, but it feels like that as a fan. Um, I don't even know where to begin on that part. But something I do want to touch on is the hip drop tackle that should have been called that wasn't on Dalton Schultz.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I know it's a thing that they said they were going to enforce at the start of this year, and it hasn't. I don't hasn't been flagged once this year yet.
I
And there's
I
been a
don't,
lot of.
not that I recall. I don't remember the last time.
I mean, I get the frustration. And in a playoff game, you would think they'd be paying more attention to stuff like that because that was a textbook hip drop
Not when the
tackle.
Chiefs do it.
He had him wrapped up. He had him wrapped high. He swung his hips around, dropped him into the back of Dalton Schultz's knees, and we get nothing. If that was a Chiefs player, goddamn, all hell would
Oh
break
man.
loose.
Yeah, if that was Mahomes, I mean, you may as well just cancel the game at that point. I mean,
Pretty sure Chris Collinsworth would have charged the field if that was him.
oh yeah. So, anyways, again, what I put in the notes here, just story of the season for the Texans. Great defense, underwhelming offense. As much as we could bitch about the refs, which is definitely justified, I think that the Texans offensively, they needed, I said on last week's podcast, they needed to be at least at the level that they were last year, and they just weren't. They just underperformed once again, and they are dealing with injuries. Tank Dell's out. Stephon Diggs is out. Hopefully, when those guys come back, that could sort of kick the offense into high gear. But like you said, they also need offensive line help. And when you don't have that, it's hard to do much of anything, especially in an environment like that. Another note from this game, Kymie Fairbairn wasn't very good either. He just shanked a 55-yard field goal badly. He also missed an extra point. One of the other things here is Steve Spagnuolo's defense just seems to always come up clutch. He's looking to become a 4-time Super Bowl champ. He's won 2 with the Chiefs and 1 with the Giants. Just great defensive coordinator. And that's really been the difference when the Chiefs have just been going on this consistent winning streak over the years. And then Travis Kelce just wakes up again in the playoffs. He was great. I don't have his stats out right in front of me, but he was tremendous this game. One of the questions that I think can be posed coming out of this game, circling back to the ref conversation, should the NFL implement maybe a flopping penalty? So if a runner or any player exaggerates to try and draw a foul, they should be punished for it. There should be consequences for that. Kind of like the excessive celebration style foul. What are your thoughts on that?
I think with the way the game's going, it seems like a lot of people, even you can see in different games, like Josh Allen does it every now and then. A lot of people do it, and it does work a lot of the times. I think if they should be able to punish the player that does that
They
and
should
try
get
to get
whacked.
that out of the game.
Yeah, they should get whacked. Why did we? Well, I would stop talk. We'll just cut that part out. Um, anyways, yeah, the refs. It was just a ref show in Kansas City, unfortunately, which is a shame. I think it could have been a pretty entertaining game, but that experience just ruined that. And then hopefully, but I'm not optimistic that the Chiefs Bills game is going to be any better when it comes to that. Do you have any last thoughts on this game that you just want to reflect on, or the Texans season in general?
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
That's
Hell yeah. moving on, we had a great game to end the Saturday night cap. We had the Washington Commanders visiting the Detroit Lions. The Commanders won this one 45-31 in just a shocking upset. So, with this win, Washington advances to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991. That year, they also made the Super Bowl and won, beating the Bills, which is funny because that could end up being the Super Bowl matchup. With this win, the Commanders are the 15th out of the 16 NFC. 15 out of the 16 NFC teams now, with the Commanders' win, have made it to a conference championship in the NFC since 1995. One of the questions I want to ask you, just curious to see if you know this, what's the one team that hasn't made the NFC championship game for the past 30 years? Just as a guess.
On the NFC side?
Yeah, just throw it out.
Oh, shit. The Vikings.
Nope, they made it in 2018, I believe, against the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl.
NFC. It's not. Shit, I don't know.
It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It makes it was just hilarious. I laughed hysterically when I saw that. That was great. You think with the way that they're just like marketed and how their fans act around them, you think they would have had more success, but they just haven't, which is just funny. It's really funny. Some other notes from this game: Lions just get embarrassed on their home field. Also, a fun, not so fun fact if you were in attendance for this one, but they sold the highest price non-Super Bowl tickets in NFL history. The average price to go to this game, Jesse, was $991 according to TickPick. You average all the seats out, all the suites, and even the cheap sheets, it's $991. What do you think about that?
That's insane for a. I get it's a playoff game,
But
it's
a divisional round game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In Detroit, you have to go to Detroit.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah. Jared Goff was not great. He went 23 for 40, threw for 313 yards, 1 touchdown, but he threw 3 picks. He also lost a fumble in this one. He was so bad, fans on social media were calling him Jared Goof. Apparently that's been a thing for years. I've never heard of that before. The defense gave up 45 points. The Lions secondary, to be fair to them, they were just destroyed by injuries. And one of their players, Robertson, I forgot his first name, but he went down with an injury to start the game, and he never came back. Just what are your thoughts on the Lions' performance here in this game?
Yeah, I don't know if it was they took it easy because it was the Commanders, thinking it was going to be an easy win. They were going to the NFC Championship game like it was nothing, and then Jaden Daniels and the Commanders just come in, clean house, embarrass the Lions, like he said. And I think Jared Goff, I don't know if his injury had anything to do with it when he got rocked on that pick 6, but it seemed like he come back and he just wasn't the same.
He's just off, which is weird because usually he comes up pretty big in clutch games, I would say, for the most part. Another thing, let's move on to the Washington side. Jaden Daniels, terrific. He's incredible. He's become quickly one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. 22 for 31, 299, and 2 touchdowns. He's the best. He's obviously going to win Rookie of the Year. I think we all agree he has that locked down. Who do you like when it comes to like rookie quarterbacks in the past? Obviously, C.J. Stroud was great last year too, but like who like he's probably the best rookie quarterback since maybe like I'd say he was probably better than Baker's rookie year. I'd probably go back to Andrew Luck. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like that's a good statement right there. Andrew Luck, just a beast of a quarterback. I feel like it's a little too soon to judge the comparison of C.J. Stroud and uh,
Jaden Daniel. Yeah, I agree.
Daniel.
Yep.
They came into kind of similar situations. I feel though, coming into a team that had a shit record the year before, and no one expected them to be as good as they were, and that just shows how good Jaden Daniels is and how he turned that organization around.
Yeah, he's been tremendous, and yeah, like you said, just bottom of the barrel teams that had high draft picks. I believe they were both picked number 2, right? Him and Stroud.
I believe so.
Second
yes.
overall pick. Yeah. So again, Jaden Daniels has been terrific. That's tough again to compare him to C.J. Stroud, but he's just so incredible. I would love to see Washington just go on a run to the Super Bowl. I think that'd be very fitting. I think their fans have suffered through a lot with the Dan Snyder era and just all those terrible, terrible Washington teams. So again, love to see it. This game is very entertaining to watch, very high scoring. But again, Commanders get the win. Lions get embarrassed at home. Just very shocking result. Easily the most shocking result of this weekend. Any last thoughts on this one?
I think we covered most of it. I think we're ready to move on.
All right, all right. Rams Eagles 28-22. The Eagles won this one. This game, I don't know. Visually, this game was awesome because the snow was just coming down in this one, and snow games are just the best. The Rams, being from Los Angeles, seems like they'd be at a disadvantage in that environment, and I think it showed a little bit, but overall, the Rams played pretty well. Matthew Stafford went 26 for 44, 324, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams also had 19 carries for 106 yards. The Rams had a chance to win this one at the end. Stafford, it was 28-22. Stafford was leading him down the field. He threw a dime to Puka Nacua, who just made an incredible toe tap catch on the sideline. I mean, I don't audibly gasp a lot when I'm watching these games because I feel like I've just seen a lot, but that definitely made me react. Kevin Dotson, though, he had a rough last drive. He got called for a bad holding penalty that pushed him back even further when they were all damn near in the red zone. And then Dotson on his side, him in the center gave up a Jalen Carter sack who just ran right through him. At that point, it was 4th and 11. Stafford threw it to the end zone, and it was an incompletion. Just wasn't even close. What were your thoughts just overall in the Rams' performance and just how they adapted to this environment in Philadelphia?
I do think, like you said, the environment played a big factor, coming from a warmer climate and then going to play in literally a downfall of snow. Definitely probably hindered him a little bit. But Matthew Stafford, from playing in Detroit, I know it's a dome, but playing in colder weather, he balled out.
Mm-hmm.
Puka, just insane.
He's so good.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter, the one time he has not been double teamed all game, he breaks through for the sack to seal the game.
Just ran right through.
What seemingly seal the game. And the Rams, I thought after the start of that last drive they were going to come back and take the lead, but it's not how the cards fell.
Nope, definitely not. On the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, he went 15 for 20, 128 yards. No passing touchdowns, but he did run for one. He still doesn't look fully healthy, but honestly, to go to the Super Bowl, I don't think the Eagles really need him to do all that much when you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield to hand the ball off to. 26 carries for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Can we say at this point Saquon's the best in the league, even better than Derrick Henry?
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible. I don't know if you saw this, but Barkley reached out to Shady McCoy, about playing in the snow because McCoy was known for just having these great snow games when he was on the Eagles. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did not.
But it was really cool. Just kind of a throwback to when I was younger watching football. So I just thought that was a cool thing to add. Eagles also won the turnover battle 2-0. What do you think about the Eagles and their position heading into the NFC Championship game right now?
I think after that game against Detroit, they're going to be scared of the Commanders. I mean, I would be too. Playing like that, it's in an opposing team stadium. And to beat them like that, especially in Detroit, that's tough to do.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts, yeah, he doesn't look fully healthy, but I think the snow was a big part of that. They didn't want to throw as much, and why would you when you have someone like Saquon in the backfield? So I think that was probably just a part of the game plan. Keep Jalen Hurts from getting hit, keep him kind of on the uphill health-wise, and try to get him ready for the next round.
Yep. Yeah, so the Eagles, again, they're going to take on the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. Division rivals, should be a good one. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we have one last game to get to. Probably the best game of the weekend, Ravens at the Bills. Just like we all expected, this was a close one. The Ravens beat the Bills 35-10 back in Week 4. This was the coldest game of Lamar Jackson's career, where he played 20 degrees at kickoff for this one. I marked it down. I just wanted to compare what it was like here where I live in Ames, Iowa, compared to that. It was 4 degrees here. So when they were on TV complaining about it, I kind of just groaned a little bit. But this was a great back and forth game. Inside of 2 minutes, towards the end, Lamar found Isaiah Likely for a touchdown, made the game 27-25. The Ravens went for a 2 point conversion. Lamar rolled to his right. He had Mark Andrews wide open. It fell into his hands, and then it fell out. What was your reaction when you saw that?
At the start of the play, with the likely touchdown, I was like, oh shit, this might go into overtime unless Allen could lead a comeback. And then I saw, as soon as I seen him roll out and I saw Andrews wide open, I was like, all right, this is going to be a
It's going
down to
overtime.
the last
Yep.
minute game.
Yep.
And then I saw the ball bobble and I saw it hit the ground, and I just thought, especially with a guy like Mark Andrews, that I was shocked. I didn't really have much to say. I was just kind of in awe of something that looked so free to be a 2 point conversion and just end like that. It was wild.
And he never does that. He's always been so like sure-handed throughout his career. He also had a fumble in this game too, and just very uncharacteristic. Lamar Jackson is not known for his playoff performance. That's been the biggest like knock on his career. I thought he played pretty well in this game outside of a pretty bad interception in the first quarter. What were your thoughts on Lamar's performance?
Yeah, I mean, going into Buffalo is a hard thing to do. The Bills Mafia, so loud, so hard to play there. I feel like Lamar played good. Obviously, using his legs helped him a lot this game, and but it also hurt him trying to extend plays. He got hit in the backfield and lost the ball. That I believe led to a Bills touchdown. I believe.
I
And go
I don't
ahead.
remember. They might have actually held him to a field goal. I took notes on it. Let me go back. But yeah,
See, I feel like
keep talking.
yeah, Lamar. Other than those that interception, like you said, and the fumble, I mean, Lamar looked like he was the normal Lamar, even in when it was cold weather. So
Yeah, no, I thought Lamar played pretty well. No, the Ravens defense actually forced the Bills to punt. I had that down in the notes. But then Damar Hamlin stripped Lamar Jackson and led to a Von Miller big return. So I guess he did have a fumble as well, which is
yeah,
not great. But honestly, Lamar throwing the ball, especially in the second half, looked pretty good. As for the Bills, turnovers were the difference in this game. I feel like it was 3-0. Did Lamar? Hold on. Did Lamar fumble or did Mark Andrews fumble?
both did.
They both did. So the Ravens had
Lamar got
four.
hit. Yeah, Lamar got hit in the backfield and uh, dropped it. It popped out of his hand, and then he had a pass over the middle to Mark Andrews, and then he fumbled too.
Okay, so it was 4-0. So that's even worse. The turnover difference was 4-0 in favor of the Bills. They mentioned on the broadcast that the Bills have won the turnover battle in every game they played in this year. This game was just no different. Josh Allen did not have to do much in this one. Only 16 of 22 for 127 yards, and he did have 20 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns in that category. But really, the run game is what catapulted the Bills to this win. Unlike in previous years where Josh Allen had to play hero ball and he had to do everything to get the Bills a playoff win. It was by committee for the most part, too, with James Cook. He ran for 67 yards and 17 carries. Ty Johnson, 5 carries for 31 yards. And the rookie Ray Davis had 4 carries for 29 yards and a touchdown. What were your thoughts on the Bills and their game plan that was just executed to perfection?
I mean, yeah, they came into it playing home. They know how to play in the snow, obviously. Uh, they look crisp. I guess that's what you could say. Allen only missing 6 throws and still using his legs when he had to. I think this game might have given Josh Allen, even though Lamar had the better stats in the regular season, I think this game may have given Josh Allen the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, it is a regular season award. That's tough. But if it were including playoffs, then yeah, I think you would have to give it to Josh Allen. He just didn't turn the ball over. He played very well. Another note I want to add: Can we just say Derrick Henry's just ageless? He's 32 years old, 16 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown in that environment. What are your thoughts on Derrick Henry, and how long do you think he'd be able to just keep this up?
At the rate he's going, I think he's going to play forever. I mean,
I
the
hope
dude
so.
doesn't look like he's lost a step at all.
That'd be
I mean,
great.
it's just normal now, I guess, to see Derrick Henry just get the ball and run 1,000 people over. So It's fun to see,
Yeah.
unless you're playing the Ravens, I guess.
Well, true, but the NFL is just better with guys like Derrick Henry in it. Moving on, we're going to get into our predictions. We only have 2 games to predict, and then we will predict the Super Bowl. There is a bye week. I think that's when they have the Pro Bowl and then the Super
Yep.
Bowl. So we'll predict the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. But first, we'll start off with what we just talked about. The Bills, they're going to have to go to Arrowhead once again, take on the Kansas City Chiefs. They have just not had the success there in the past. And even when they played them at home last year, they just couldn't get the job done. Jesse, do you think 2025 is the year the Bills finally slay the Chiefs?
I do, because they played earlier in the year, I believe in Arrowhead,
Yes,
and the
yes.
Bills did come out on top. I mean, it was a
It
close
seems like
game.
they always win. It seems like they always win in the regular season, but not in the playoffs
I mean,
against
it
the
was a
Chiefs.
close game, like everyone thought it was going to be. I don't think this game is going to be any different, but I do think the Bills will finally overcome that hump and take down the Chiefs.
Okay, it's great that you think that because I do not. I just, I just think the Chiefs. I mean, they're just. It seems like they're unbeatable in the playoffs, and obviously there's a lot of factors that involve zebras that go into that too. But like, I just can't imagine the Chiefs losing this game. I hope it happens, but like with the way the refs are, the way they call games in Arrowhead, maybe the referees will turn around. Maybe they'll try and like make up for their shitty calls last week, and they'll start favoring the Bills. I think that'd be great. Um, but I just don't see a scenario where the Bills win this game when I play it out in my head, as much as I want to believe it. So I'm going to actually pick the Chiefs on this one, and I'm predicting them to go to their third straight Super Bowl. Moving on, the Washington Commanders travel to Philadelphia to take on their division rival, the Eagles. Jesse, what are you thinking about this one? I think this game, we have 2 really great matchups. I think this game is a little more unpredictable.
Yeah, this one, it's going to be either way. This one's going to be close, but I feel like with the Commanders coming off a high, playing amazing in Detroit, I personally I do think they have what it takes to beat the Eagles, and I think they're going to.
So again, we're gonna disagree again. Commanders have had a great run, um, but when it comes, when's the last time? I wonder when the last time a rookie quarterback started in the Super Bowl. It had to have been a long time ago. The only person I can think of is Big Ben. I think Big Ben back in like 2005 or six or something. But it's been a long time. I believe also I saw a stat. The last time a rookie quarterback played in the NFC Championship game was Mark Sanchez on the Jets. And obviously, we know how that turned out. I do think Jaden Daniels is better than Mark Sanchez. But are the Commanders as good of a team as those previous Jets teams? I honestly don't know, and I think we're going to find out in this game. But since this one is played in Philadelphia, the Eagles, they just have championship DNA written all over them. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Um, it's hard, just like the Chiefs game. Find it hard to see a scenario in my head where the Eagles don't come out on top. So I am going to pick Philly to win this game. Um, Last week, we also made our predictions for the 4 divisional round matchups. So the predictions tally as it stands. We both picked the Eagles over the Rams, so each got a point there. Commanders versus Lions, we both picked the Lions. We were both wrong in that one, obviously. Ravens versus Bills. Jesse, you picked the Bills. I picked the Ravens, so that puts you up 2-1. Texans versus Chiefs. You decided to be a homer and you picked your team. I went with the Chiefs. So we're actually tied in the predictions right now. And we picked opposite teams, so it's going to be very interesting how that ends up coming out of next week. Anyways, moving on, we're going to talk about baseball now, and we're going to talk about that a lot more once football season ends and once we get into March and training camp and all that. But there's just been a topic that's just been on the baseball world's mind recently, and that's the Los Angeles Dodgers and their just insane free agency signings. In 2025 alone, so far, the Dodgers have signed Blake Snell, Tanner Scott, Michael Conforto, Haesung Kim, Kirby Yates, and Roki Sasaki. So keep in mind the Dodgers just won the World Series last year. They add one of the best relievers in baseball, and they add a Cy Young winner from 2 years ago as well. Just more relief pitching depth and more starting pitching depth, which is crazy. They were also able to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez and Blake Treinen. Right now, the Dodgers are paying a total of $1.37 billion in deferred payments. So that's not their payroll as of right now, but when it comes to deferred payments, that's how they're able to afford all these players. I'm also going to list all the players who have deferred money on their contracts. Shohei Ohtani alone has $680 million coming in his way in the future. Mookie Betts has $115 million. Blake Snell, $66 million. Freddie Freeman, $57 million. Will Smith, $50 million. Tommy Edman, $25 million. Teoscar Hernandez has 23.5, and Tanner Scott has 21 million. And we don't know about Roki Sasaki because he just officially signed the terms for his contract today. So who knows? There's probably another $35 million of deferred money right there. The question I want to ask you, Jesse, you're a much longer baseball fan than I am. Do you think this Dodgers free agent, like, just spending spree, is this good for baseball or is this a bad thing?
See that's a hard thing to tell. I can't really say if it's a good or a bad thing. I mean, yeah, does it suck that the Dodgers every time there's a good player, it seems like it's the Dodgers that get them? Yes, but I mean, there are the other teams could be doing more to try to attract these guys in. I don't think it's really a bad thing necessarily. It just sucks for fans of other teams that have to deal with the Dodgers just being insanely good every year.
Yeah, and you raise the point of other teams. Other teams could realistically do what their Dodgers are doing. But Jack Flaherty, former pitcher, I believe, right? He said the Dodgers are.
He's a pitcher still.
Oh, he still plays?
He plays for the Dodgers.
Oh, shit. Well, that makes sense then why he would say that then. I don't know why I thought he retired, but he said the Dodgers are not doing too much, but other teams are just doing too little. And honestly, I think there's a lot of truth to what he said about that. Do you agree with that?
I do. I mean, you got teams like the A's and the White Sox, who's the White Sox highest deal ever is 4 years, 75 million for Andrew Benintendi, and then you look at deals like Shohei's for 10 years, 700 million, and you're like, I mean, they
It's not
could
even
offer
close.
more money. It's just a lot of teams have. I shouldn't say cheap owners because $75 million is a lot of money,
Oh, there's
but
some cheap
in terms
owners.
in terms of baseball, a lot of cheap owners.
Yeah. And your White Sox owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, probably the cheapest of them all, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Cubs, Tom Ricketts, as well, he came out and said that the Cubs are just trying to break even every year, so they're not even willing to ever go past the salary cap like what the Dodgers are doing, which I think is ridiculous because then they'd actually be able to compete and actually make the playoffs like they should. Um, Another thing that this could really pose a problem. Obviously, the owners of the other 29 teams, they're not doing what the Dodgers are doing, so therefore they're not going to like what they're doing. The MLB's collective bargaining agreement is going to be up in 2027, and the Players Association and the owners are all going to have to agree to new terms. That's obviously going to create a lot of a conflict of interest because with the Dodgers right now, baseball doesn't have a salary cap. The rest of the 29 owners are probably going to want a salary cap, unless we're talking about like the Mets, who have the highest payroll in the league right now because of obviously the Juan Soto contract. But from the players' perspective, like this good, no salary cap's good for them because that's just more money in their pockets. And if the Dodgers are willing to just break the bank and pay these ridiculous contracts, then the players will only benefit for them because it's going to create bidding wars and it's going to just lead to more money for them. So there's potential that this could lead to a lockout. Do you believe that that's a real possibility heading into the 2027 baseball season?
It is definitely a possibility, but I think at this point, I don't think there will be. Personally, I think either they'll come to an agreement quick, or they'll just probably keep it around the same thing, just no salary cap. And I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. And that coming off season.
You don't think the owners are going to gripe a little more about what the Dodgers are doing?
I'm sure there probably will be gripe, but I don't think it's going to be enough to cause a lockout and stop baseball operations.
Okay, yeah. And, that part of the argument, too, that could just be fan frustration that maybe they'd want that because I think personally, in my opinion, I don't know about you, I think a salary cap ultimately would lead to more parity and lead to a better baseball product. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, it would give other teams a chance to go out and get some of these guys like Mookie or even international guys like Roki. Um, I know Shohei played a big part in that signing with the Dodgers, so I understand that. But getting big names like Blake Snell and stuff like that would be a lot easier for the smaller teams.
Yeah, and here's the thing all the other three major leagues in the United States, so the NFL, NBA, and NHL, they all do have salary caps, and those leagues, they're pretty lucrative and they do pretty well, especially the NFL. So again, I think personally, in my opinion, I don't think it should come out to like just big markets, billionaire owners that can just spend whatever unlimited money they want. But I do understand the player's perspective of just wanting to, well, just get paid for playing baseball. Um, Despite the Dodgers, though, spending more than $1 billion this offseason, they are only the number 3 team when it comes to payroll, believe it or not. The New York Mets are number 1 and the Yankees are 2. Did that surprise you, like hearing that fact?
It did at first, and then I thought about it with the Mets having the Juan Soto deal. The one that really surprised me was the Yankees, though. I didn't think they were spending that much money.
Yeah, how much does
But
Aaron Judge make right now?
Aaron Judge's contract, I thought I had it pulled up. Let me give me 2 seconds. AL East, Yankees.
360 million, 9 years.
Yeah.
So he gets paid 40 million per season for Aaron Judge. Um,
Yep.
they also, the Yankees, yeah, they're known for not being afraid to acquire players. They also got Cody Bellinger this offseason. He had a pretty hefty contract as well. So again, it makes sense when you think about it. I think were Phillies the 4th on that list.
Give me 2 seconds.
We're doing this live, folks.
Yeah, I was clicking through to find the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Anyways, I think the Phillies probably would have the 4th. Philadelphia is a pretty big market overall.
Philly is actually. Where'd they go? I just seen it. Where'd it go? I just looked at it.
Look how prepared we are.
Dude, where did it go? I just seen it. Oh, they're number. Wait, this one says it's number 1. Oh, that's for 2025. 2024, they were 4th.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, what?
We're gonna have to cut some of this because.
No,
Dude,
we should.
it changed.
It changed? What do you mean it changed?
When I looked earlier, they were number 4 and LA was number 3. Now it's Mets, Yankees, Houston, Philly, Dodgers.
So the Dodgers are in 5th?
Yeah. What the hell?
All right, so
cut everything from about 5 minutes ago and just leave it.
Here on the Bench Writers podcast, facts do not matter. We just talk. We just talk out of our ass. Okay, so apparently the Phillies are the number 1 highest payroll in baseball that we know now.
2025.
You know what? I honestly think we should just leave that in.
I don't know.
Are you?
I guess.
I think we should just leave it in. We already talked about this for like 10 minutes. I mean, but anyway, facts don't matter on this podcast. That should be your biggest takeaway from this. But the other thing is, yeah, the Dodgers spend a lot of money. That is an absurd amount of deferred money. And I believe ultimately it's going to lead to some sort of controversy in 2027. Jesse said it might be just a little skirmish, or it could lead to a big lockout. Who knows? Do you have any final thoughts on just baseball in this offseason in general?
I mean, I wish the White Sox would do more. to try to beef up their lineup rather than signing old washed people and
Yeah.
hoping there's going to be a different outcome than the same thing we've been doing for the last 3 years. But I mean, who knows? Maybe for some reason we'll just play out of our minds, but I highly doubt it.
Just only
Ready
lost.
for another depressing season.
Just only. I don't know how it could get worse than losing the most games in Major League
We'll
Baseball
probably
history.
break that record.
That would be hilarious. You'd look on the record sheets, worst records of all time. The list, it's just all White Sox. First two slots are White Sox.
Yeah.
That'd be. I couldn't imagine being in your shoes, buddy. That just sounds brutal.
That's not fun.
Yep. And just a little extra topic too. Ohio State won the national championship 34-23 on Monday night against Notre Dame. Jesse, did you watch this game?
I watched, I think, the first quarter. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing.
Well, that's good because I didn't watch this either. Ohio State, and it's not really because of the matchup. I would say it's just college football should not be going on until January 20th. These national championship games used to happen right after New Year's, and I think they just get overshadowed by everything. We had the playoffs this weekend. They got overshadowed by the inauguration on Monday. I mean, college football was just it was buried in the news cycle. And this game, I just didn't care about it at this point. And I'm an Iowa State fan. I was salty because if we won the Big 12 championship game, we would have had a bye going into the playoffs, but obviously that didn't happen. So I was kind of apathetic about the playoffs anyway. I do like the format, though, overall, but I do think some changes could be necessary to speed it up. I think there should just be no bye weeks, and I think everyone should just play like how they do in March Madness. So the 1 seed will play the 12 seed, and therefore, what do you think about that?
I agree. I do like the change to the format. It gives more teams like if Iowa State would have won that game, giving them a chance to not necessarily smaller schools,
They
but
could
schools
have,
you don't see in the
yeah.
playoffs very often.
I mean, Arizona
Uh,
State played Texas so close. That could have been Iowa
yeah,
State. I mean,
yeah, it could have been, and it gives teams like that who say, "Oh, when they play a real team, they're not going to win." And then, you said, Arizona State goes out and puts up a damn good fight against Texas.
yep.
So I think it does help the game.
And Boise State, they got an opportunity to be in the playoff. They would have never been considered in the old format. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so this playoff format I like. I wouldn't mind seeing it extended to 16 teams, honestly, because that would then actually make my format that I pitched mathematically correct, where there's just no buys and you just play each other, kind of like a March Madness thing. And I think it should start right after the conference championship games. Let's do away with all these 2-3 week buys that are just ridiculous. And I think it also just cools off the teams as well that have the buys. So that's an interesting discussion. But overall, that's all we have today. Next week, we're going to cover the conference championship games, and we will cover any of the other top news stories in the sports media cycle. I want to thank you all for listening. We are available on YouTube. We're available on Spotify and Podbean. I tried to get us on Apple. Apple wanted my tax forms, and I didn't really know how to go about doing that, so I kind of just panicked and closed the tab. So we're not on Apple Podcasts yet, but we're getting there. So if you're watching this or listening to this on YouTube, leave a like, give us a comment. Spotify, Podbean, give us 5 stars and leave a comment for that as well. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.